Hello, all you coin collectors out there, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to take a look at some coins from the United Kingdom or Great Britain. And they are very different coins in some ways and very the same in other ways. And so let's start with this one way over here on the left. And that is, it's interesting because these are all the same size, right? And it turns out that they're all the same makeup. This has a reeded edge. If we look on the back, we see that that's a 1 shilling coin from Great Britain from 1963. This next one, we can see right on the front, it says 1968. It turns out that this is the first 5 new pence coin, which replaced the 1 shilling coin and was of the same value. So let's take a look at just these two at first. This 1 shilling coin from 1963, essentially the last year of major circulation. In 1963, they made 49 million of these. They did make some in 64 and 66. They made 8.5 million in 64 and 15 million in 66. And then in 1970, they had a proof coin only. This coin here, the 5 new pence, was to replace it. And the way that they replaced it was they made them worth the same amount of value. So when Britain went to decimalization, they took this the 1 shilling coin, which was worth 1/20th of a pound, and they came out with a new 5 new pence coin, which was also worth 1/20th of a new decimalized 100 pence pound. So this was from the 240 pence pound, and it was worth 12 or 1/20th. This was from the 100 pence pound, the new pound, which was, and this was worth 1/20th of a new pound. And when they switched over, they used these two coins. So both of these coins were in use and actually were demonetized or taken out of circulation on December 31st, 1990. Now, if we look back over to the next one, this was the next in line. And the next in line, if we go back, we'll see that we have 3 different portraits here. We have the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and this is actually the portrait that was put on her first coins when she became queen in 1953. It's the Mary Gillick portrait on the front. It's an engraving by Mary Gillick. It says, Elizabeth II, Dea Gratia Regina, or Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, and she's wearing kind of a laurel with ribbons coming out of the back of her hair. Now, I said on one of the earlier videos that this was the uncrowned portrait, the only one I knew of. Of course, the modern one is uncrowned. The new queen portraits on the new coins, she doesn't have a crown on. On this one, she does have what's called the tiara, or a small crown. And this is the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, and that was a different engraver, and that engraver was Arnold Machen, who did the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth. And so that brings us up to this one, which is the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth. And she is wearing, in this case, what's called a diadem, which is also another crown, and it's the George IV state diadem, which she's wearing on her head up here. And again, Elizabeth II, DG Reg. And this one, you notice, has a date on the front. This one here, again, has a date on the front. So they moved the date from the 1 shilling, which was the date on the back. And we look at this, and this is a crowned shield of Great Britain. It says Fid Def, Defender of the Faith. 19 on this side of the shield. Here's the crown above the shield. 63 on this side. So it's a 1963 1 shilling coin. And the back of this coin was engraved by a different engraver, and that was William Maving Gardner. And you can tell his initials here. We got the W here from William Maving's Gardner, G there. The back of this coin, the 5 new pence coin, was a Christopher Ironsides, I believe. And when he did this coin, he put the Scottish thistle in the middle, and that was crowned. And so it says new pence at the top, 5 at the bottom, and we have the beaded inner rim here. Again, this is a reeded edge coin. And finally, when we got to this third portrait of Queen Elizabeth, and the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth is a Raphael David Makhlouf portrait. Let me get back to that just so you don't miss it. So this portrait was engraved by Raphael David Makhlouf, the third portrait. And this is called the third portrait small type. In terms of how many of these coins were made, again, for the 1 shilling, they made about 49 million. For the 5 new pence, because it was the first year of circulation, they kind of worked their way in, but they made about, on this particular one, almost 99 million of these the first year of circulation. And finally, for this 5 new pence with the third portrait on it, and I should say that all of these coins are copper nickel coins. They all weigh about 3.2 grams. They are all copper nickel, and they are all about 1.7 millimeters in thickness. And so when they made the 5 new pence, the first year they came out with these, when they changed from the 5 new pence to the 5 pence, when they first came out with these in 1988, these coins, what am I trying to say here? These coins were again the same Christopher Ironside reverse and Raphael David Makhlouf front. All right, let me stop before I get too lost here and say that these are great looking coins, and they are all worth the same amount, and it turns out that only this one is still able to be used. So it has not been demonetized and is still in use today. All right, that's all we have today from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Have a great day, and we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel and leave any comments you might have in the comments section.